Hi guys, welcome back to my Friday the 13th movie reviews, and today we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th Part 3 or Friday the 13th Part 3D. Now the opening of this movie was just like the opening of Friday the 13th Part 2. It gives a kind of backstory as to what happened in the previous installment, and this one's no exception. It does the exact same thing again. One thing I found funny in this one was with the scenes from part 2 mixed in with the scenes from part 3, you could tell which ones were which because I watched the UK DVD and the aspect ratio of part 3 was slightly different from the aspect ratio of part 2, so you could see the difference between the takes. You could see like parts of part 2 and then when they brought it over to part 3 you could see that aspect ratio just kind of shrinking slightly, and it wasn't off-putting, but you could just tell that it was a different scene from a completely different movie. Now 3D was quite rare back in the 80s. It did happen, but it was quite rare, so when the 3D scenes were happening on screen you could tell they were really forced. The angles of the camera were just wrong. A few scenes, for example, when the guy was playing with the yo-yo, that camera angle, it just didn't feel natural and you could tell it was forced. Same with the guy with the washing pole at the beginning of the movie. He actually looked at the camera, the 3D camera, just to make sure he didn't hit it, but he wanted to get it in line to see the 3D aspect of the movie. So some of those scenes were pretty off-putting. The scenes themselves weren't off-putting because the scenes that were happening were good, but the camera angles were the off-putting part that were just unnatural. The opening scene of the movie felt like a kind of extended scene of Halloween 2. At the beginning of Halloween 2 you got the old couple who are killed by Michael Myers, and in this one it was very similar. You had the couple who were killed by Jason, but it was just a more drawn out scene. I'm not saying that Friday the 13th is yet again copying Halloween, but it is a little bit fishy that Friday the 13th Part 3 came out a year after Halloween 2. The characters were a little less generic in this movie compared to parts 1 and 2. We get to see some of the characteristics in this film, and we get to see who becomes what in the film. For example, the final girl, you kind of know who the final girl is early on in this film, and that's not a bad thing because we get to see that character development with these characters, and we kind of care for them more in this film than we did in the first two movies. Now something that hasn't happened yet in the franchise is most of the main characters survive quite a long time in this film. The secondary characters died first, whereas most of the main characters were kind of stalked by Jason, kind of like Michael Myers. And this happened throughout most of the movie until the last 30 minutes. The kills at the beginning and the middle of the movie, like I said, were the secondary characters like the bikers and the couple at the beginning, but most of the main characters, they survived to near the end of the movie. And in fact we didn't get our first main group kill until the 58th minute, and that's UK PAL time on the DVD, the 58th minute, when the harpoon went through the girl's eye and she fell into the lake. Did anyone else notice that Rick was wearing the same jumper as Pamela Voorhees? Strange choice of outfit. He also looked like Pamela when his face was being squashed by Jason. Moving on to Jason, I like the fact that his outfit didn't really fit him because he did get the outfit from a washing line from the old couple at the beginning of the films, and obviously that guy was pretty small, so I like that. It was more realistic that he was just picking off outfits and uniforms wherever he could find them. Seeing the mask for the first time was pretty memorable when Shelley came out of the lake with the hockey mask on, which is kind of ironic because Jason has obviously got a history with water. One thing I didn't like about that was we didn't see Jason pick up the mask. He just appeared with the mask on, so obviously he got it from Shelley in the building, but I would have liked to have seen him picking the mask up and putting it on. But again, the mask wasn't an important part of this film because we didn't know at the time, back in 1982, that this mask was going to be so iconic. Overall, it did feel a little bit like another Halloween wannabe movie with the whole stalking idea from Jason, and the camera angles as well. They were kind of copying Halloween. I'm not saying they're fully copying it, but I'm just saying they're very similar, and it just so happens that at the time Halloween and Friday the 13th were competing. However, I did like the continuation of Jason's character and the evolution of Jason. I noticed in this movie as well that Jason could be hurt. He still kept going and he still fought on, but every time he got hurt or stabbed or something, you could see it in his face and his movements that he was hurt. And he obviously went down a lot easier in this one than he did in future installments. I loved the last 30 minutes of this film. It made up for the slow start and the kind of muddled up middle of the movie, but the last 30 minutes were great. I think we got a kill every couple of minutes, and the kills got more and more intense and brutal as the last 30 minutes went on, and that's when we got to see all the characters who survived within the first hour, they were all just getting picked off one by one, faster and faster. One of the freakiest scenes didn't involve any killing. It was at the very end when we see a kind of dream sequence again. We don't know if it's a dream or not, and then we see Jason's face at the window when she's sitting in the lake. She sees his face at the window, and then all of a sudden he runs out the house or the barn, and just the look in his face, and then he disappears. That's quite scary for me. When I first saw it, it was really scary, and when I watched it this morning, again, it was kind of like, whoa, that's, it's a little bit crazy. I would say out of the first 3 Friday the 13th movies, this is probably the best so far, and I think that is due to the fact that the last 30 minutes saved this film. The kills were great, a lot better than parts 1 and 2. The character development was a lot better than parts 1 and 2. And I think that at this point in time, Jason has become a better killer than his mother. So what do you think of Friday the 13th Part 2, guys? I didn't watch it in 3D, so if you did watch it in 3D, let me know your comments down below. Did it add to the movie because of the camera angles, or did it just kind of take things away? For me, it took it away because I didn't watch it in 3D and the camera angles weren't as good. But overall, I really liked it. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.